right, welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. Gina. Thanks for joining us this morning. We invite you to hop in our conversation on YouTube, Getter, and Rumble. We'd like to talk to you, so get on in there with us. It is time now to take the political pulse of America, and here is the beat today. The Department of Homeland Security is claiming a legal win after what it calls an act of judicial overreach was put on hold. On Wednesday, a federal appeals court blocked an order that would have required a senior Border Patrol official to brief a judge every day about immigration raids in Chicago. This ruling comes amid tensions over Operation Midway Blitz, a sweep that has led to more than 1,800 arrests. Here was Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem speaking about that operation just yesterday.
Just earlier this month here in Indiana, we saw an illegal alien from Serbia and Montenegro was operating his semi-truck without a valid commercial license. He swerved into oncoming traffic and killed Jeffrey Eberly. In August, Indian illegal alien killed 3 people in a reckless driving highway incident in Florida. And I think most of you remember the news coverage from that, but the devastating impacts of that loss. That CDL had been issued in California by Governor Gavin Newsom. Just last week, another Indian illegal alien killed 3 Americans on a highway in California. He was intoxicated behind the wheel of his truck. Every single time one of these individuals gets behind the truck, on the wheel of a truck, they are in front of a deadly weapon that can kill other Americans as well.
All right, for more, let's bring in David Brody and Terrence Bates. See, David, I had a really good question for you. I completely lost it with that. No, I know.
I'm distracted as well.
Yeah, wait.
I thought they were taking you away from us, or like a gremlin. I don't know what was going on there.
A big Colby paw over here trying to snatch me right off the set. Here's the interesting thing. So when Kristi Noem was then asked about illegal aliens attaining regular operational vehicle licenses, regular driver's licenses, she said, no, that's up to each state. So there are many states that grant, I think most states, in fact, grant regular driver's licenses. And by the way, a car is also a deadly weapon. And let me guess, the Democrats are much less concerned about this as sort of a deadly weapon, even the big trucks that are causing so many deaths, than they are guns, which they love to talk about, David.
Yeah. You know what the Democrats' ace in the hole is in all of this is the federal district and appeals judges across the country. Yep. And this is a victory here, right? We just talked about, okay, small victory for the time being. But that's like the New York Jets. You get a victory once in a blue moon, but overall you lose all the time. And this is kind of what's been going on with Trump and the administration. Look, did some research. Once again, cue the line where I say I had nothing better to do. And I looked, and in Trump's first term, there were 86 nationwide injunctions against his policies, compared to 28 nationwide injunctions against Biden's policies in his first term. 86 to 28. That's all you need to know, T. Bates. There are the numbers for you.
There you go.
Yeah, the numbers speak for themselves. And unfortunately, many of these judges are still overstepping their bounds when it comes to some of President Trump and the administration in general's policies, and it's really impacting us. But back to the whole driver's license thing, and many of these illegal immigrants who are driving trucks and causing accidents, it really gets back to the fundamental issue for me. You shouldn't be here. You were in this country illegally, and if you weren't in this country at all, if you weren't breaking law, then you wouldn't be putting lives at risk here in this country. Maybe in your own country, but that's fine. You wouldn't be putting lives at risk here in this country. And that's really ultimately what it gets back down to.
And this
Dr. Gina,
and you make such a great point, Terrence. This is why it's so critical that we repeat this narrative, because the Democrats love to say, we hear it all the time, right? They love to say, oh, they're coming into neighborhoods, they're going and snatching small children out of Halloween parades and deporting them. This is why, if you did the first illegal thing of coming into our country illegally, that's the same thing as coming into our homes when you don't live there. It is not okay. Go back to your country and come in legally if that's what you want to do. We can never lose sight of that narrative, because this is the one place we cannot compromise. And the reasons you just stated, Terrence, are exactly why.
Yeah, and
You know,
by the
there's
way,
certain life.
Go ahead, Terrence. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to, there are certain life rules that just are consistent. I remember as a teenager, I took my mom's car and I went to a party she told me not to go to, and I got in an accident. Somebody hit me. And I said,
Parents.
"Oh, Mom, it wasn't my fault. You know, Mom, it wasn't my fault like the other person hit me." And she said, "Well, you weren't supposed to be at the party in the first place." The rule is the same with illegal immigration. You're not supposed to be here in the first place. And if you weren't here, if you weren't doing something wrong, then the other consequences, everything else that happens, wouldn't happen. Life rule, like there's certain things that are just pretty consistent, David. Sorry. I know that's a bit of
No,
a stretch,
you're
but
right.
I think it really is appropriate.
Oh, that's perfect. I'm
No,
shocked
it's
that
great.
you did that. I'm shocked.
Yeah. Well, listen, here's the
me
thing.
too, still, 30 years
And
later.
here's the thing. The media continues to talk, when they ask questions to the White House, they always say, well, why are you arresting people that did nothing illegal? And it's like, no, you came across the border illegally. Hello. But, that's not. Anyhow, okay, we got to move on. We're following the latest on the government shutdown in D.C. No end in sight at this point. Well, maybe 5%. Democrats have blocked every single measure to reopen the government since the shutdown began. There it is, the Schumer Shutdown. Now, by the way, SNAP benefits, in other words, food stamps, they're set to run out of funds tomorrow. It's going to be the first time the country's largest food benefit program has been disrupted in this way. Well, joining us now with the reaction is the content creator known as the older millennial, Joe Redding. Good morning, Joe. Look, you've been following this story very closely. Funding for SNAP set to expire. Curious, get your take on this. Good morning.
Well, thank you so much for having me here. Well, I mean, this is a huge thing on social media. This is something that we talk about probably on a daily basis, and it's kind of a debate of two narratives. On the Democrat side, or at least the liberal creator side, they're talking about how this is a Republican shutdown, and because Republicans control the government, they're responsible for it. But the reality is that we try to explain is that all the Republicans are asking is the Democrats to vote for the exact same bill they already passed 13 times. And they're just choosing not to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the problem. They're choosing not to do it. Do you see any end in sight? There's elections on Tuesday. Is that going to be enough to potentially prompt Democrats to turn around to make a 180 over the weekend? SNAP benefits, as you said, are getting ready to end. There's going to be a lot of people suffering. What's it going to take ultimately for Democrats to come to their senses?
Well, honestly, that's going to be about the only thing conservatives are going to accept. We're not going to accept bending on the Republican side. We're not going to accept half measures or agreeing to additional spending because what we want from our politicians is exactly what they said they're going to do. That's what we voted for them to do. And if the compromise comes on the Democrat side, great, we're all for that. The compromise can't come from the Republicans. We put them in charge for a reason, and for the good of America, it has to be done that way. And do I see them changing? Sadly, no. Because you could see they focus on the House, and the reality is there's nothing to be done in the House. They've already passed the bill. It lies with the Senate, and they've got to do their job.
Can we put that chart back up that our producers had up for a moment? Because that's the chart I've been trying to reference this whole show, where it shows that the vast majority of those who take the food stamps in the first place are this one. Are not Americans. Americans are way down there at the bottom. It's a shocking number of people from other countries that are taking the food stamp benefits. Joe, what will this mean in the conversation about all of this?
Well, the sad thing is this is something we've also talked about across social media, and it's looking at what we've somehow managed to do is import people that depend on the American people. And that's like, I'm all for immigration. I don't know any conservative that's not for legal immigration. But if we're just bringing in people, and that chart clearly shows the people we're bringing in, they're not being brought in to make America better. They're being brought in to depend on the American people to take care of them. And that's just not a sustainable program. You can't have a future where 59% of the people that are being paid for, that their food's being paid for by the American people, they're not even citizens of the country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Joe, are you shocked that Republicans are actually sticking together on this? I mean, they always splinter. I tell you what, it's nice to see some cohesiveness. The Democrats are always sticking together. Well, it's finally nice that the Republicans are doing the same. What's your take?
It is a rare occurrence to see Republicans not infighting and attacking each other over a topic and trying to play the blame game. I being a skeptic as I am, I hope that's not just a product of being more than a year away from the midterms. But it is great to see that even though they do disagree on things, they do agree on how to move America forward with smart economic policy like this.
And we showed that SOT a little earlier, Joe. I don't know if you were watching the show earlier where we showed the SOT where the liberal media was flipping out that actually Congress's approval ratings on the Republican side have gone up since this shutdown. Here's a little note to Republican congressional members. That could be why. Because you, for once in your life, stuck together. Love it.
Yep, that's right. That's exactly right.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. It's
Joe,
almost like the Republican voters want them to do what we voted for.
Amazing. Shocker.
Oh, what a novel idea, right? Joe, thanks so much, my friend. Good to see you.
Absolutely my pleasure.
Thanks, Joe.
Absolutely. Well, folks, the tax extension deadline may have passed, but for millions of Americans, the real trouble is just now beginning. If you happen to miss the October 15th deadline, or if you owe back taxes, the IRS is ramping up enforcement. Every day you wait only makes things worse. Here's the harsh reality, though. The IRS can charge a penalty of 5% per month up to 25% of your total tax bill just for not filing. That's in addition to what you already owe. The good news is there's still time for Tax Network USA to help. Self-employed or a business owner, even if your books are a mess, they've got you covered. Tax Network USA specializes in resolving financial chaos and getting you back on track fast. With tools like property seizures, bank levies, and wage garnishments, the IRS is applying pressure at levels that we haven't seen in years. It's not too late to regain control, though. Your consultation is 100% free, and in one short phone call and a few simple questions, the experts at Tax Network USA can determine how much you can save. Call 800-905-8000 or visit tnusa.com/RAV and let Tax Network USA help before the IRS, makes the next move. Let's take a quick break. When we come back here on American Sunrise, President Trump calling for an investigation into former FBI agent, labeling him a dirty cop. We'll bring you the full story when American Sunrise continues.